John Carson has the only power play goal for Washington in this series. It was a game winner that he scored in Game 2. And on the off day yesterday, he chatted with assembled media at the team hotel here in Raleigh.
We had a lot more chances. It felt better offensively. I think we, especially at the start of the game. And, I think looking through it, I think, we're obviously, we play them better when we have the lead or we are tied, and once they got that goal, it kind of spiraled away from us a little bit. And but I think a lot of good things to take from it, a lot of good things to learn and move on, and turn the page, and got a chance to get home ice back tomorrow night.
They're a good team defensively. They don't give up much, just like us. So yeah, when you get those chances, obviously that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to put it in, but you know that they're a big volume, shot volume team. They get their minutes in your own zone, so sometimes you have to be comfortable with just getting an opportunity, really big opportunity, every couple minutes or once or twice a period. But like I said, we're familiar with this. We've done it all year, and there's no panic on our team.
Looking at a little bit about that top six for Washington. And at the end of the game, in Game 3, we saw Tom Wilson get elevated to play with Ovechkin and Strome. And in my mind, as you look at what you are combating here in this series when you don't have last change, the Aho line, which made a change of its own, by the way, Seth Jarvis bumping up and playing on that top line instead of Jackson Blake. They switched places on the right side. But that line did very well in being able to generate chances, the Svechnikov goal and others. So I think Spencer Carberry would be loath to change anything with McMichael, Dubois, and Wilson, given the fact that their defensive responsibilities, McMichael's been terrific. But if you have enough faith in Mikey to be able to do it in other places,
he's been good.
Maybe we're going to see a little bit of a different paint job in the top six tonight.
Yeah, I feel like it is time to mix things up. And, we've talked so much about how role players, third and fourth line guys, can come up big for teams in the postseason. But as the playoffs move along, as you get into the middle of the second round, you really need your star players to start showing up and producing. And I don't feel like the guys, the top players have been playing poorly, but their production hasn't been in line with how much they mean to this team.
You got to finish.
Yeah, I'm looking at Dylan Strome. He's got an assist. Alex Ovechkin doesn't have a point. Pierre-Luc Dubois doesn't have a point.
Beauvillier was great in the first round. No points here.
Yeah, look, it's tight out there. There's not a whole lot of space. But that's like that in every series. Draisaitl's filling up the net. McDavid's playing really well. Rantanen has a couple of hat tricks. Other guys on other teams who are star players are producing, and I feel like it's time at this juncture in the postseason where some of the Capitals' big-name guys have to start producing.
And Alex Ovechkin certainly at the top of that list after scoring 4 goals in the Montreal series. Nothing, as you mentioned here. And thinking back to the first period, boy, did he have some chances. You convert that, then it's a whole different game. Maybe they win Game 3. If you come up with 2 goals on Anderson in that first period, that's an entirely different game. That's why those guys have to finish.
Absolutely. I think Alex Ovechkin actually had the highest expected goals after the first period. He had that chance in tight, then he had the redirection. Look, Anderson is playing, and we haven't talked about him yet, but Freddie Anderson is playing lights out right now, and I feel like as well as he's playing, I don't think the Capitals are doing enough to disrupt him and to really kind of get into his kitchen and maybe make things hard on him, because the scouting report says big goaltender, blocks a lot of shots because he's so large and plays the angles so well and is so athletic for his size. That said, those big guys, they can kick pucks around a little bit in front of them, and it's sometimes hard for them to quickly.
He does.
Yeah, he absolutely does. He leaves loose change around. You have to get to those second opportunities and start burying them. And, I think I said before this series began, I felt like this series was going to be determined by special teams, and right now the Caps are getting woefully outplayed in that area, and also the blue paint in front of both of the nets. And right now, in front of Freddie Anderson, the Caps just aren't doing enough.